My name's Holly. My middle name's Alexandra. I feel like I own up to my middle name rather than my last name. I'm kind of a mixed culture person, as most people are these days. And I feel like I could explain myself as someone who went to community development school, so that's a major focus of mine, but also environmental design and how our space affects us. Those are my major passions and backgrounds. So Yewtopia is something that came up naturally to do with names. This is a little bit out there perhaps. Your higher self name, which is your capital E ego, is something that you can discover, and I was asked to sound it out once from a dear friend, and that turned out to be starting with the Y, and then I sounded it as you, and in my head spelt it like the yew tree without knowing actually what that meant. And what it turns out means is similar to holly tree. So it's a bit of a miracle in that way, the literal meaning or the literal name, I mean, and the way that this place came about was to help myself coming out of that education and thinking like I wouldn't want to work within the system as it is. And a lot of jobs sometimes are seasonal or reliant on funding, like at nonprofits. And well, this is a social enterprise, so that's the design of it, but I understood that there's a lot of people that make their own work or make their own positions. So I have been self-employed for 10 years and it kind of gets wrapped up in a fine bow for how I interact with Yewtopia. So the idea is that it's for other people to really get sparked by the collective of it and like be able to collaborate with others, but also potentially like, you know, fill another commercial building. And because Yewtopia is like, it's not at 87 King Street, like it's kind of wherever, wherever you flow, that's what it says on the website. I could say that what has come of people that walk in here is a lot of excitement and kind of like surprise. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I wish I heard about this earlier, just from like coming in the space without even actually knowing. So on the website you can see what we offer. And there's many categories, like from movement to sitting down at a table and doing a workshop or something. Or kid-related stuff is also one of the things that I do, so I could speak on that. And then generally speaking, there's a motto that is a tongue twister. So it's that we are working towards sustainable sovereignty with sacred solutions. And then I guess using synergistic senses, which is really all the things that we have as an individual, but synergistic in the way that we do that together, and that's the better way. A lot of people say it feels like home. It's very family feeling. Some of the people here I've known for many, many years, and some of them are new, but every new person that comes in is attracted by something, and I call it a portal. And then it turns out they know someone else or something. I like to burst the bubble and make sure that anyone coming in, or I encourage new people in my life generally, because that makes me feel like then there's more ways to learn. I think that the environment here, I humble myself being the person that, yeah, like made the business plan or whatever, but I want to be throwing $100 at it eventually in the same way other people are. That is something that I've said out loud too. Like I verbalize that, but maybe that's what I am as well. Like, I guess. I try not to be self-effacing. That's one of the things that is a negative. I try to balance, like, you know, what's it called? Like, I guess being the instigator of things, because that is how I function. Sometimes I'm like paralyzed in bed and I have like ideas and I'm like passively planning stuff. It's some gift that I don't really understand, or I do understand it, but like that means that I have a lot of things to share, but there's also other people that can share, and then that just bounces off, right? Independent Dance Festival that is put on by a member here who does contact improv, but also with a group of people that have been practicing really, really interesting stuff, like almost a combination of improv and mixed media art. There's so many things that could start. Kiva was talking about someone who paints to music and an improv group to do with, I guess, acting improv. On July 1st, we are doing a lending library for Indigenous Peoples Day, or what would be future called that, and that will involve a craft show. We do lots of pop-ups. If you looked around this room, you could see maybe some of the 7 teachings. I want to have like all of them at all times, kind of like an I Spy. And then hopefully soon we're going to do an open house for the library that exists here. So there's a category in the room right now, and it's Manitoba, which is really intense. But there's other categories like food crisis and pollution and systems change. That's the one that's most exciting to me, or like who's going to use that information. I got a grant position to actually organize a library, so that's one of those things that I laugh about, like my life, like Alexandria Library. I feel like I'm like past life and like doing this work for that reason or something, because this collection of books and archival things is from someone who really, quite frankly, died of cancer because he's burdened by the information, I think, and we have to use this to make change, because it's really dire in a lot of ways in relation to those subjects. I'm intrigued by making light fixtures out of gourd, and that was sparked by a friend giving me one actually that's quite big, and it has holes and crystals that shine. But I'm part of a community where there's land, so I did pick this willow myself, and then I kind of just experimented with binding it. I like puzzles, and I like to do things that are, I guess, like imperfect, like that kind of work, because I do paint as well, and it's like, there's part of me that's a perfectionist. So like nature is naturally imperfect, but also like really beautiful. So all of these are like different colors you can see. I'm born in the fall, so I'm inspired by that a lot. It's called like fall in love forever. So you like hang it and maybe last forever or not. Yeah, there's like malachite beads. I try to like make it magical too. I know a lot of people have heard the word Yewtopia. I think that generally speaking, it's tied within nature as that literal yew tree aspect. But I think that it's a matter of really birthing people into their purpose and place. I feel like this is a treasure of sorts. I have like a blog of sorts talking about like your purpose and place is like a treasure, and it's waiting for you. And no one else is like gonna get it. You don't have to like rush to it, but it's something that you can develop through being sparked by what's around, or like the good things. And again, not to say bad news isn't important, but I think that we have to work towards the future using solutions now. And those solutions are based off of the flip side of like the upside of down. That's what someone talked about once, that you're flipping bad news and seeing like the root cause, which is actually very innocent. Like I've also said before, no one's to blame, but we're all responsible. Like that's kind of what we're doing here.